Spring Boot provides support for the templating technologies available in Spring MVC. Templates allow us to render dynamic HTML content, which helps developers keep the user interface separate from their business logic. This minimizes the coupling between the layers of our application and results in more maintainable code. Currently, Spring Boot supports FreeMarker, Groovy, Timeleaf, Velocity, and Mustache templating. In this lesson, we'll take a look at how to configure and customize one of the more popular template libraries, Mustache. Let's start out by looking at our project within the Package Explorer. You'll notice that within the source main resources source folder, we have a directory named Mustache. And within Mustache, there is a Mustache template that we're going to use. It's very simple. Now, also within the source main resources directory, you'll notice the templates directory. Normally, when working with templates, you can put your templates inside this directory and it will always be read by Spring Boot's support for templating. You'll see a little bit later that if you'd like to use a specific or a custom directory, there's a little bit of configuration that we need to provide to Spring Boot. The first thing that we'll need to do, however, is to add support for Mustache within our pom.xml file. So we're going to navigate to the POM, and we need to add a starter dependency. So I'll click on the Add Dependency, and then I'm going to look within the org.springframework group ID, and we'll get some choices here. And you start to see the Spring Boot starter POMs, and we'll pick the starter Mustache POM. And once that is within our pom.xml file, we now have support for Mustache. Now let's add the appropriate configurations to our application.properties file. Using the handy IntelliSense within STS, we can look at all of the properties that are specific to Mustache configuration. So here you see quite a few. You can specify individual template names that this applies to. You can also specify some rules regarding caching. The two properties we are most concerned with are the prefix and the suffix. So these are added to our logical view names in order to locate a particular template. So Spring MVC will take a logical view name, let's say it's template, and it will add the prefix. In our case, it will need to be mustache, and then our suffix will need to be .html. So let's go ahead and configure that. And we want to specify that we are looking at this from the class path, and then we want to look in the mustache directory. And then we also need to specify the suffix, which is going to be .html. So when we construct a path to our template using a logical view name, we will use these two properties for concatenation to locate that view. So let's go ahead and we'll save the application.properties file. And now we're going to navigate to the application.java file. Within this class, we need to establish a controller method that will handle requests and route them to our template. So we're going to go ahead and create a method that returns a string, and I'm just going to name this method mustache. And within this method, I'm going to return the string template, and this is our logical view name. So that corresponds with the template that we have in the mustache directory. And it will be used to concatenate with those properties we've already specified. Now, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a model as an argument to this method. Then using the model, we will invoke the add attribute method. And this accepts the name of our attribute. So in our case, I believe it's company. Let's take a look at our template. Yep, so it's company, and then we provide the name of our company. In this case, I'm going to provide the name O'Reilly. Add our semicolon, and now we just need to add our request mapping, and I'll map this to the path mustache, and then we'll import the request mapping annotation. So at this point, our application is configured to run our demonstration. So let's navigate back to the Package Explorer, and we can right-click on our Spring Boot project, and we can run as a Spring Boot app. Now let's navigate over to our browser, and we can hit localhost 8080, and we want to hit the mustache path, and there you see that our template renders and we display our dynamic content. So in this lesson, we learned how to configure templating support within Spring Boot to support the templates used by Spring MVC. Now, there is support for the other template technologies, and you can see that support if you start to look at some of the properties available via the IntelliSense. So here we see velocity. You're also going to see FreeMarker. And configuring those templating technologies is going to be very similar to how we configured Mustache.